Facebook tab as well.
This is your live.
Yeah, there should be another tab up here for Facebook. Right here. Right here.
Okay.
The 300.
Did we? Okay. Because the first year we did that, we had no candy for 2 or 300. Nuts.
And last year, well,
You want-
it's always,
Yeah. Oh.
those 3 years that we've done it,
There it is.
Feed.
yeah, 3 years. It's between 300 and 400, you know what I mean? So,
We were really laughing towards the end there because I think you caught,
Okay.
our
They're live
friend
as
Celtic.
well.
Oh.
There you go. You're all set.
yeah.
But you caught
Obviously, it's
him.
small.
Okay, why don't we
Small things for the
start
parade.
our Bible study today with a prayer? Dear Father, thank you for bringing us here today on this remarkable day. Help us to study your word and get everything that we can out of it, reading the book of Joshua. I ask all this in the name of Jesus Christ, your dear Son and our Lord. Amen.
Amen.
Oh, so here we are in chapter 18. And if somebody could read verses 1 through 3.
Then the whole congregation of the people of Israel assembled at Shiloh and set up the tent of meeting there. The land lay subdued before them. They remained among the people of Israel 7 tribes whose inheritance had not yet been apportioned. So Joshua said to the people of Israel, "How long will you put off going in to take possession of the land which the Lord, the God of your fathers, has given you?"
So this, in this instance, at Shiloh, Joshua is exhorting the remaining tribes to possess their land. And Shiloh would become a new center of Israel, and the tabernacle would stay there until the time of Eli, the high priest, and that's in the book of Samuel, verses 1 through 4. And he, of course, raised the prophet Samuel. And so because the tabernacle was there, other important items were there too. The Ark of the Covenant and sacrificial altar, and it all came from Gilgal. So Shiloh was a considerable town, 15 miles from Jerusalem, and in the tribe of Ephraim, and it's the center of the whole land. So in this, God's work it moves over time, and it moves where it's most needed. And I had a question: where has God's work moved to in Christianity, and why? Why has it moved?
Well, if we're talking about where Christ dwells, he's now dwelling inside each and every Christian. And so and that's why, that's why we don't really do monasticism anymore and like separate ourselves from society, because the whole point of the Christian is to be God's temple in the world, going out and being, that connection point.
Absolutely. I know we're seeing a lot of Christianity moving into third world countries, Nigeria, for one. And it's interesting. In the past, I've been reading a lot of Philip Yancey, and he talks about, being a reporter and writing books. And he's gone to third world countries, and they know they're going to be persecuted. There's no doubt in their mind that this is going to happen to them. So that's just a reality for them. And there was one country where he asked them, do you want me to talk about grace? And the guy said, no, we know about grace. That's not a problem. We just need to understand how to work well with each other, because that's where we're having problems. And so you think about American Christianity, and you see these big churches and, people following, pastors that are worldly with wealth and, this kind of thing. And I know in our church, we follow the Bible, and that's just exactly where we need to be in following this stuff, because there are a lot of churches out there that aren't doing it. And I think a lot of them are failing,
Well, interestingly, it's that persecution that is kind of, imagine an American Christian, especially like the the
Right.
unchurched American Christian, quote unquote, that if they were to face actual persecution, like to the degree that you do in other countries.
Right.
Like if the government was turned completely against them, if the general populace was allowed to kill them on site,
Right.
things like that, like we would see a very interesting change in the church.
Right.
There would be fewer, but they would be mighty.
Mighty. Right.
Those that were in it would be in it. The same with our missions. When you
Right.
go to a country that treats you like that, you know your heart's in it for God
Yeah.
because you not willingly walk into that.
Walk into
otherwise.
that. Nobody would. Yeah.
So it would be interesting, sad, but also interesting to see if persecution was happening for real instead of the perceived persecution that we whine about.
Right.
Oh, so and so won't talk to me anymore because I'm Christian and
Yeah.
I talk to them about Jesus. It's like, well, they didn't stone you, so
Yeah.
that's an improvement.
Yeah. They didn't
Right.
jail you. I
Right.
mean,
You
yeah.
didn't lose your family or your home or your work because of your beliefs. So count your
Exactly.
blessed stars.
I think a lot of American Christians also confuse like the consequences of their actions with persecution too,
Yes.
because there's a lot of Christians who act very annoying and who do some kind of absurd things, and then when they get blowback for that, oh, I'm being persecuted. It's like, no, you're making a ruckus and you're causing problems. You're not, and not the sort of problems of I'm proclaiming the gospel and everybody's, you know,
And the truth is
and
making people
it's- yeah.
uncomfortable.
no, but it's the people who like pull stunts and like just do things that are kind of ridiculous, and then they have a persecution complex when their bad behavior is being called out.
Right. Right. Yeah. It's it just kind of makes me think about every morning I'm reading a lot of Philip Yancey, a lot of um, Billy Graham, reading his stuff, and it comes down to I always pray, dear Father, give me the strength to endure. If this happens in my life, help me to stay true to your word and to not.
Dangerous prayers.
Yeah.
Scary prayers.
Well, they are scary. They are scary, but it's like I think about what these people have to face, and American Christians, European Christians have no idea what these and they in Nigeria, 10,000 people have already died. 10,000, and it's like.
The Coptic Christians in Egypt are always very inspiring because they've had 1,000 years under the Muslim yoke,
Right.
and the great witness that they have is all of the communities around them
Right.
are all like very protective of them. Like there's like, oh, there are neighbors and whatnot, and they'll stand up for them. It's always people from outside the community that
Right.
come in and cause trouble for the Coptics.
The local Egyptians have a pet Christian community.
Yeah, sort of. Yeah.
These are ours. You can't mess with them.
Wherever it is the Coptic neighborhood is, wherever the Coptic church is, the Muslim neighborhoods around them, that whenever there's like agitations
Right.
built up over the Christians or whatnot, they will stand outside the churches on Sunday morning so that people won't mess with them. Like there's like, no, you're not messing with the.
These are our
They're-
Christians.
they're
Go
Our
find
Christians
There are
yours.
neighbors. They're a neighbor,
Exactly.
and that's the sort of
That's a really cool thing.
because that's the sort of oh, they're obviously Christian, they obviously very much believe what they believe, but they're not causing problems
They're
for
doing
their
good
neighborhood. They're
things in
doing
our
good,
community.
and so yeah, so that's the sort of they still have to undergo persecution officially from the government and from people in their country, but they're not causing a ruckus for all of their neighbors.
Right. Right. Yeah, it's true. I mean,
And
it's
to be recognized for your impact in the community and valued for that and protected for that. That's cool.
now. What is a Coptic Christian? I've never.
So
heard that.
in the early church, there were various councils. Not all of the councils were universally accepted by the church. I believe the Coptics were the ones who didn't get on board with the Chalcedonian Council.
Okay.
And so they're considered a breakaway church from the Orthodox Church
Okay.
And Chalcedon was before Nicaea, so that was
Okay.
like a very early break from the rest of Orthodoxy at the time.
Okay.
And then Nicaea kind of, that was like Orthodoxy and getting rid of all the Arians, and
Right.
then later on, after the Great Schism, that's where you have Roman and Orthodox split.
right? Okay.
So what is the main doctrinal differences with Coptic?
So I believe the Coptics are Miaphysites, which means that they believe in a two natures, like I don't know if I really got this right, but it's like there's a blending of the divine and human nature, as opposed to them being
Both
Two
in the
separate-
same body,
Yeah.
but also separate.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that's a heresy.
right.
The
Where
blending of the nature.
Right, we were talking about what the Coptics believe.
Yeah, the Coptics and the Nestorian. I spent a whole semester studying the ancient churches, and the question
good to
was,
see you, Roy.
Yeah, it's good to see.
when they were if they were heretical, could they still indeed proclaim the gospel? Never
Sorry,
mind.
I got us way off topic.
Yeah.
That's fine. No, it's okay. It's okay. Really. We're on chapter 18 of Joshua. So, so getting back to Joshua, so right now he's angry with the tribes for not taking what God had given them, and he saw their lack of faith, their lack of courage in driving out the Canaanites, and their greed, and so they had grown what we call complacent and satisfied with a nomadic life. They wanted to stay that way, and they weren't wanting to stay and do the difficult task of fighting the Canaanites, because at this point, of course, God is going to be with them, but there are going to be people that are going to die in this, and who wants to fight that? You know, when you can have these people be your slaves and do all your labor for you, and why in the heck would you want to kill them off? You know, so it's kind of a life of ease that they're looking at, and so when the Israelites went to war together, when they were together as a society, they had confidence and they were expecting miraculous help from God. So they had these things. But when each tribe had to fight for itself, they were discouraged and chose a life of ease. So they're kind of focusing on themselves rather than, oh, what can God do for us? And because it is, you know, there's going to be some hardship. People are going to die in this stuff. So the thing here, the tribes of Israel became slack, or they were neglectful. And it's kind of like if you give them an inch, they'll take a mile kind of thing. And as Christians, this is very perilous for us because we can become lazy and comfortable, and like I said, in our churches and what we do. And so looking at, you know, Joshua, it really gives a nice encapsulation of, as Christians, what is it we're here for? Why are we congregating and doing what we do? So does anybody have any questions about any of that? Okay. Let's see if someone could read verses 4 through 8.
Appoint 3 men from each tribe. I will send them out to make a survey of the land and to write a description of it, according to the inheritance of each. Then they will return to me. You are to divide the land into 7 parts. Judah is to remain in its territory on the south, and the tribes of Joseph in their territory on the north. After you have written descriptions of the 7 parts of the land, bring them here to me, and I will cast lots for you in the presence of the Lord our God. The Levites, however, do not get a portion among you, because the priestly service of the Lord is their inheritance. And Gad, Reuben, and the half-tribe of Manasseh have already received their inheritance on the east side of the Jordan. Moses, the servant of the Lord, gave it to them.
So here, you know, Joshua is instructing a survey to go out and assess the land to be divided among the 7 remaining tribes. And so the remaining land will be fairly divided among the 7 tribes. And the land would be divided by casting lots, relying on God to guide it. And this is kind of an interesting thing because you can think casting lots, those and that like gambling and stuff, but in this sense, no, it's not, because they're relying on the Lord to fill it in and say, you know, this is good, this is not good. So Joshua writes the covenant in the book of the law of God. And this is Joshua, this is chapter 24, verse 26. So just as the law guides the people in their life, the map book here will guide the people in their possession of God's blessing of the land. And so it's interesting here that they're relying on the Lord to give them this land, and Joshua is kind of managing things. and so that's kind of interesting. If someone could read verses 9 and 10.
Oh, I didn't have 8 in there either.
So the men arose and went, and Joshua charged those to write the description of the land, saying, "Go up and down the land and write a description and return to me, and I will cast lots for you here before the Lord in Shiloh." So the men went and passed up and down in the land and wrote in a book a description of its towns in 7 divisions. Then they came to Joshua at the camp of Shiloh, and Joshua cast lots for them in Shiloh before the Lord. And there Joshua apportioned the land to the people of Israel, to each its portion.
So that's he's having them go out, write a survey, and then he casts the lots to determine, you know, which tribes will receive the land. So that's pretty much everything I got from that section. Does anybody have any other insights about that? Because I wasn't able to get much else than just the survey.
As you said, it's interesting how often in the Old Testament, something that we would think of as luck, as you know, like a
Right.
roll of the dice, is used by God to determine. This is going to determine the borders for, you know, a couple hundred years here,
Yeah.
like 500 years. So that's, and then obviously the high priest has the Urim and Thummim, you know,
Yeah.
yeah, and how the Hebrews very obviously believed that nothing was just chance, nothing was luck,
Right.
everything was directed by God.
Right. And that's interesting too, because, you know, you see in ancient cultures, they had the pagan religions and all this, they had to do all this stuff to make God happy. And you know, Israel is relying completely on God. And they're not doing it by human sacrifice. They're not doing it by, you know, doing all this stuff, you know, it's like they simply rely on God and he works for them.
Well, we actually see some of the echoes of that faith today too, because think about how often you think, well, you know, God's will be done. Like
Right.
there's a big thing coming up for me and I don't know what path it's going to take. You know, I
Right.
don't know if I'll get that promotion. I don't know if I'll be fired for standing up for what's right. I don't know if, my diagnosis will go in my favor. And in our mind, this is an act of faith.
Right.
God will have chosen and will use that path to his glory, no matter what it is.
Right.
So I need to be comfortable with that.
Yeah.
That's
Right.
the same idea as casting lots. Okay, where am I going to live, God? I
Yeah.
picked this house out for you. You better like it.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I think I better like it.
You better like it. Well, that's the thing, you know, it's especially like going back to the book of Job, it's like his main thing, he demanded to see God, and God came and, you know, basically told him, you know, where were you when I did all this stuff? But he did have faith and he followed God no matter what happened to him. You know, you think about what he lost, his family, he lost everything he owned, his health was shot, and all that. And of course, his friends come and berate him for all this stuff. And so in all that, he stays faithful to God. And it's like, it doesn't matter if your life falls apart here. It's here. It's not eternity.
Well, if you
Yeah.
look at that, so in today's society, the exact same set of circumstances outside of the scope of Christianity,
Right.
they always blame, oh, it was fate, or oh, it was karma, or oh, it was. So they're pointing to the same idea that some higher power has control over those seemingly random gambles.
Yeah.
So everybody kind of acknowledges it, whether they call it what it is or not. But God has a hand in everybody's lives, whether they have
Yeah.
turned control over
Or
or he has
not.
to forcefully bludgeon them over the head with it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I look at our society today and there's so many faithless people, so many people that reject the Bible. And to me, there's a real supreme comfort in knowing that this is temporary and there's probably lessons for me to learn in all this stuff. And some time ago, I was involved as an elder with a guy that was kind of abusive, not physically, but just mentally. And instead of being a victim and all that, I would look back and say, what things did you do that you shouldn't have done to facilitate that? So it's almost kind of like, yeah, this stuff happened, but where was I in the middle of all this? And it really helped me to grow. Like, okay, this is something I should do, and this is something I should not do. You know, so that whole time it was like, looking back on it, it's like, okay, I can learn from this stuff. And I know, gosh, a lot of people would be like, "Oh, this is just too much. I don't have any faith anymore in any of this stuff." And it's like, no, I went through this for some reason, and I've learned from it, and that's a good thing. So,
That's what we need to draw closer to the Lord.
oh, absolutely, it is.
Because we
Yeah,
need Him the most.
And the intention of someone in error, like being abusive in a relationship with
Right.
their wives or children, the ultimate goal is to stop the abuse,
right,
the person come to repentance, and then be restored to the fellowship of the church. An
Right.
elder has that, I'm sorry, that duty to
Yes.
put the hammer down if it has to be.
right.
With the ultimate hope that there'll be reconciliation. But if someone's rebellious totally, says, "No way, I'm out of here.
Right.
I'll transfer down to St. Swithin's by the
Saints
swamp.
Friends, right?
Goodbye."
Yeah, right. That's funny. Oh man, oh, that's cute.
Just thinking that the idea, if you draw closer to God when life's going crazy, then you get less whiplash when he changes directions on you suddenly.
Isn't that true,
The
right?
closer to God you are, the less it's gonna
You
hurt.
can't take it till you turn it over to Him.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
He'll
there's,
do a better job than we will.
it's true, and that's something in all of this, and we're going to see in Judges where all these, we're going to keep them alive and stuff. It's really going to be a detriment to them physically and spiritually. So kind of Joshua and Judges kind of is a real lesson in, keep the faith, follow God. And even if you don't understand, just accept that this is going to be for my ultimate good, even though it may hurt now. I don't see it. So, I love the image of him seeing all of history from above. And, we're here looking it up. And where is it? I don't know where I'm going. And he's like, he sees everything from eternity.
Yeah, God has it covered.
What's that?
God has it covered.
Yeah. Yeah. It's true. He does, it's let's see if someone could read verses 11 through 28.
The lot of the tribe of the people of Benjamin, according to its clans, came up, and the territory allotted to it fell between the people of Judah and the people of Joseph. On the north side, their boundary began at the Jordan, then the boundary goes up to the shoulder north of Jericho, then it goes through the hill country westward, and it ends at the wilderness of Bethaven. From there, the boundary passes along southward in the direction of Luz, the shoulder of Luz, that is Bethel. Then the boundary goes down towards Ataroth Adar and the mountain that lies south of Lower Beth Horon. Then the boundary goes in another direction, turning on the western side southward from the mountain that lies to the south, opposite Beth Horon, and it ends at Kiryat Baal, that is Kiryat Jearim, a city belonging to the people of Judah. This forms the western side, and the southern side begins at the outskirts of Kiriath Jearim. The boundary goes from there to Ephrath, to the springs and the waters of Nephtoah. Then the boundary goes down to the border of the mountain that overlooks the valley of the son of Hinnon, which is the north end of the valley of Rephaim. And it goes down to the valley of Hinnon, south of the shoulder of the Jebusites, and downward to Enrogel. Then it bends in a northerly direction, going on to En Shermesh, and from there goes on to Geliloth, which is opposite of the ascent of Adumim. Then it goes down to the stone of Bohan, the son of Reuben, and it passes on the north of the shoulder of Beth Arabah. It goes down to the Arabah. Then the boundary passes on the north of the shoulder of Beth Hoglah, and the boundary ends at the northern bay of the Sea of Salt, at the south end of the Jordan. This is the southern border. The Jordan forms its boundary on the eastern side, and this is the inheritance of the people of Benjamin according to their clans, boundary by boundary all around. Now the cities of the tribes of the people of Benjamin according to their clans were Jericho, Beth Hogan, Emek Kezez, Beth Arabah, Jemarim, Bethel, Avim, Para, Orphra, Sephar, Ammoni, Ophni, Geba, 12 cities with their villages, Gibeon, Ramah, Baroth, Mizpah, Chepereth, Moza, Rechem, Erpil, Tarla, Zela, Haleth, Jebus, that is Jerusalem, Gibeah, and Kiriath Jearim, 14 cities with their villages. This is the inheritance of the people of Benjamin according to its clans.
Thank you so much for reading that. That's
That's a big amount of land.
a big, yeah, it is. It's, these lists of inheritances is just amazing that that they're inheriting all this stuff, and it's just given to them. They don't have to, work the land or do any of this stuff. They just can possess it.
That's where they're meeting. I think.
Right.
They got this little area right here.
That little area
Yeah.
right
Yeah.
there.
Sounds like a lot, though.
Well, I
Yeah.
mean, cities at that time, if you imagine just Beaver County has something, like 6 cities
Yeah.
in it. So
Right.
it's hard to fathom that much space.
Right, exactly. And the way they describe it, that's the part that's interesting. It's like these are all very difficult names, but it's like trying, in a way, trying to describe Lawrence County and what we have here. So, so here, this is interesting. The tribe of Benjamin occupied the space between that of Judah and Ephraim. And in the process of time, Benjamin drew nearer in sympathy to Judah. And at that time, a great division went in with Judah. And as in the previous lists of cities and locations, this collection of places reminds the reader that these were real places. They're not describing a symbolic or spiritual inheritance. When God promised the land to Abraham and his covenant descendants, and that's from Genesis chapter 13, verse 15, and chapter 17, verse 8, God meant a real land, not just, you'll occupy it and that's great. It's like this is a very physical thing that he's giving these people. What an interesting thing that is, that God promises and he gives it. And that's something as Christians, we have the promise of eternal life and the promise to endure things that are coming, and a description of things that are coming, but also the idea that this is not our world. And I think people need to look at Revelations and really understand why are we here? What's the promise? The promise is heaven. Yeah. The promise is eternal salvation. And so when you think of it that way, it's like all the different problems and the intricacies of stuff in this world, we don't need to worry about it.
God wins.
Right.
In the end.
In the end,
God wins.
wins. Yeah.
We may go through hell to get there in a way,
Right.
but God will ultimately win.
Right.
The
Right.
new heaven, the new earth, is
Everything.
going to come.
Exactly.
Thanks be to God.
Morning,
Yeah.
Bill.
Good morning, Bill.
Besides you, you're Jennifer,
I'm
Carol.
Carol. Uh, well, it's cold outside today.
It is
Yeah.
cold outside.
This is my wife, Vanetta.
Oh, Vanessa, I'm Bill. Nice to meet you, Vanessa. Okay, where we at,
Chapter
Joshua?
18. Just the small list of names right here.
Okay, so we're ready to do 19, I suppose.
And when late after the reign of Solomon, when Israel broke apart,
Right.
the 10 northern tribes, it's Judah and Benjamin, they're left.
Right.
That's it,
Yeah.
gang.
Absolutely.
And the others run after Jeroboam and an apostate priesthood and all that. That all comes to pass in the north.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Southerners here in America love to remind folk of that.
Exactly.
We kept the true faith.
Your faith, right? Exactly.
Wait a minute. What about there's neither Jew nor Greek,
Yeah.
free nor slave? What about that?
Yeah, exactly.
How come the most segregated hours, 10:30 Sunday mornings? Oh, well.
Exactly.
But anyway. Yeah, we're, for us, this is early.
Yeah.
We're usually tearing in right at 10 minutes to 10.
So we're starting in chapter 19 now, and I'm going to read part of this just because it's a lot of names. So, okay, this is chapter 19, verses 1 through 9. The second lot came out for Simeon, for the tribe of the people of Simeon, according to their clans, and their inheritance was in the midst of the inheritance of the people of Judah. And they had for their inheritance Beersheba, Sheba, Malada, Hazar-Shula, Bala, Azem, El-Tolad, Bethel, Hormah, Ziklag, Beth-Markoba, Hazar-Susa, Beth-Boa, and Shirushan, 13 cities with their villages, Ain, Rimmon, Ether, and Ashan, 4 cities with their villages, together with all the villages around these cities, as far as Balath-beer, Ramah of the Negeb. This was the inheritance of the tribe of the people of Simeon, according to their clans. The inheritance of the people of Simeon formed part of the territory of the people of Judah. Because the portion of the people of Judah was too large for them, the people of Simeon obtained an inheritance in the midst of their inheritance. It's kind of interesting, obtaining an inheritance in the midst of their inheritance. Kind of strange description of it. The land in the tribe of Simeon was eventually absorbed into or scattered into the land of Judah. And this is from a prophecy of Jacob. And he prophesied that in Genesis chapter 49, verses 5 through 7. So this is, again, a description of land. And I wasn't really able to find any comment on it in that.
Well,
So
the Negeb that it mentions there, that's kind of the beginning of that southern desert that goes down to the Red Sea.
okay,
So this is kind of like the southern edge of Judah is what we're looking at
Okay.
right here.
The Negeb appeared on, trying to remember, the one quiz show. And what's the quiz show that we don't watch?
Jeopardy.
Jeopardy. It showed up on Jeopardy, naming the the Negev is in what country? And it was, what is Israel was the answer. And they all blew it. They were all guessing,
Yeah.
you know, like the Arabian desert
Desert
and all
stuff,
that,
yeah.
Saudi Arabia. They missed the Negev. You know, it shows up in the Bible and
Right.
there
Wasn't a book that they studied, huh?
wasn't a book they had studied or read. They would have got it. Why, that's southern Israel.
There's a lot of questions. There was some, I can't remember what it was in Jeopardy. It was some really simple question, and I don't know the answers to a lot of these things, but I knew what it was, and nobody got it. And it was, I can't remember what it was, a really simple. I think it was like, how many commandments are there? And they couldn't answer it. They could not answer it. And it's like, you know, wow. And these are university educated people, and it's like, you don't understand there's 10, you know.
Well, in some places, they take the Bible reading out of the church.
Right.
You know, during
Right.
Advent, I can recall as a boy rehearsing the 10 Commandments, and after every
Right.
one, Lord, have mercy upon us and incline our
Yeah.
heart to keep this law, we
Right.
beseech thee, all through the 10.
Right.
And
Right.
then we finally get down to the Advent collect of the day, and I'm, man, it's going to be a long service.
Long service, yeah. Right. That's true though, you know, when somebody said, oh, there's only 3 or 5, and it was like, and even the host was like kind of surprised. He was like, I'm kind of surprised that you guys don't,
We
so
had
there's
to
10.
memorize the 10 at the church-related college we attended,
Yeah.
Geneva in Beaver
Yeah.
Falls. That was a requirement. And then second semester, Isaiah 53. You know, I'm going, hey, I heard this. That was Good Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah, we read that.
And on the text, you could not refer to the Bible. You had to.
Memorize
Yeah,
it.
memorize
and
it,
the
yeah.
punctuation and the comma. And I said, wait, the commas weren't, never mind, you just memorize.
You memorize it, right? Right. No, it's true. True. So if somebody could read verses 10 through 16.
So, a little interjection
Oh,
before
yeah,
we go there.
absolutely.
My study Bible just mentioned something interesting, is that the Simeon being in the middle of Judah's territory
Right.
is an apparent reference to Jacob's blessings of his sons at the end of Genesis,
Right.
where he's talking about Levi and Simeon being, you know, kind of violent brothers, and
Yeah.
how they have a kind of curse put on them that they're going to be distributed among the tribes of their brothers.
Okay.
And so they have this portion in the middle of Judah, because they don't have, in a sense, their own spot. This is Judah's, and you're kind of being put in the middle of Judah.
Right. Right.
And that's in Genesis 49, apparently.
And the Levites sort of had scattered cities and little bit of land outside of that city,
Right.
all around the distribution of the land of Israel.
Right.
You know, we can't say the priests got nothing other than whatever they could take off the altar, you know, or grab the meat before it's, you know, completely
Exactly,
gone
right.
and,
Was it Levi and Simeon who, when their sister was raped, they're the ones who went and killed that whole town?
I think so. I'm not positive on that.
Oh, I finally found it.
At the rape of Tamar.
No, that would be Dinah.
Oh, okay. There were some bad boys mixed in with the population.
It's true, there were.
People,
Yeah, that was Simeon and Levi.
yeah.
Okay.
People are gone.
People got it.
Well,
The chosen people.
Aren't lucky they were, because none of them got anything right.
no, no, they didn't.
You have to be the favorite if you plan on screwing everything up.
Right, yeah.
Right, exactly.
Sorry for that interruption.
No, that's fine. Let's see if somebody could read verses 10 through 16.
The third lot up came up to the people of Zebulun, according to their clans, and the territory of their inheritance reached as far as Sarid. Then the boundary goes up westward on to the Moriel and touches Devesheth. Then the brook that is east of Jokneam. From Sarid, it goes on from the other direction eastward toward the sunrise to the boundary of Chisaloth Tabor. From there, it goes to Deveroth, then up to Japhia. From there, it passes along the east towards the sunrise to Gath Hefer, to Eth Kezin, and going on to Rumon, it bends towards Neah. Then on the north of the boundary, it turns to Hanathon, and it ends at the valley of Iphthanel and Katah, Nahalel, Shimron, Adalah, and Bethlehem, 12 cities with their villages. This is the inheritance of the people of Zebulun according to their clans, these cities with their villages.
This, again, this is a long description of land, and again, I was not able to find any comment on it, just that it was.
The word El is a Hebrew reference. in a
Okay.
Kind of backhanded way to God, Elohim.
Elohim, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So when El appears, there's something, it has something to do with God here.
God here.
It may even be a pagan god, but-
Yeah, but it's okay.
But it's supposedly, Yahweh Elohim. Hear, O Israel, the Lord thy God is one. A little bit, enough to get in trouble.
In trouble, right? Exactly. Let's see if we see. I'm gonna.
But when I see El, I know, God somehow there,
Something right.
some way.
Let's see. I'm gonna go ahead and read 17 through 23 here.
Okay.
The inheritance for Issachar. The fourth lot came out for Issachar, for the people of Issachar according to their clans. Their territory included Jezreel, Chesulloth, Shunem, Ephraim, Shion, Anahareth, Rabith, Kishion, Ebez, Ramoth, and Ganim, and Hadah, Beth Pazez. And the boundary also touches Tabor, Shahazimah, and Beth Shemesh, and its boundary ends at the Jordan. 16 cities with their villages. This is the inheritance of the tribe of the people of Issachar, according to their clans, the cities with their villages. Now, this is interesting because they're talking about the boundary ends at the Jordan River. That's got to be pretty important with that river. Isn't that a fertile area?
Yeah, for the most
Yeah,
part,
for the
the
most.
Jordan Valley is very, very fertile.
Today.
Today,
Yeah.
yeah.
And there was a reference thing later to the jungle of the Jordan. And there'd be occasionally a lion in there or a leopard,
something,
you did,
right.
or a wolf,
Is
what's
that the
like,
Lion of Judah?
not quite. Nasty old
Sorry, I
northern
go past that.
African lion
Yeah.
with the short mane,
Yeah, short made, right?
one of those guys.
So mention Jezreel in there, and we just talked a lot about that when we were in Hosea. That was the incident with shoot, I forget the king's name now. His wife Jezebel.
Ahab?
Ahab, that's it. He wanted a vineyard in Jezreel,
Yeah.
and he sulked until the queen was like, "Hey, go kill the guy who owns it, so the king
Yeah.
could have it." Uh, and that was the cause of a whole lot of problems for the Northern Kingdom.
Yeah, absolutely. The thing that's interesting in all these lists is that, boy, had they followed the Lord, they would have been in just a really good position. They would have had, defense and everything against all these people. And it sounds so innocent. We don't want to kill these people. No, they can be our neighbors. They can work for us. And it's like, I don't think, just like Adam and Eve, I don't think they had any real idea what it was that they were starting. Yeah, I mean,
It's good for food and it will make us wise.
Wise, right,
Adam.
exactly.
Come here. This is great stuff. I
exactly.
told you about this. The snake.
The snake, right?
Wait a minute.
It is. It's like, they think, well, it's just going to make me wise. It's okay. And it's not. And it's sometimes the will of the Lord is so different from the will of man.
Sometimes.
Yeah,
Very often.
very often. Yeah, that's right. Very often it is. And it really comes down to, sometimes it's hard for me to believe that the Canaanites were so bad, but they really were.
Yeah, child sacrifice,
Yeah,
sacred prostitution of
Right.
both ways.
right.
Yeah. Needed to get rid of them, too much temptation. And the Canaanite would go to the Israelite and say, well, you guys were eating manna in the wilderness for 40 years and you don't understand how to do agriculture. Go down to the temple of Asherim and you'll meet a girl there.
Yeah.
And we guarantee you good crops. But if that doesn't work, you can always sacrifice your firstborn son and then it'll really pour down.
Pour down, yeah, right.
Wait a minute. I know, too much information.
I think that's kind of, in our own situations, we don't recognize how bad our behavior really is oftentimes. Because we have excuses for everything that we
Right.
do. It's like, oh, well, back then, oh, well, we have to do these sacrifices for the sake of the crops and whatnot.
Right.
And how many excuses do we come up with that if somebody else were to do it to us, we would, feel kind of like an injustice has
Right.
taken place. But it's fine for us because, well, we have reasons.
Right.
Well, we sacrifice children in our culture.
Well,
We just
yeah.
call it
we sure
freedom
do.
of choice.
Yeah. Right. Right.
Yeah.
It's
But I'm not ready to be a mother, so it's okay that I
it's
killed
okay that I killed a baby. Yeah. Right. And it's the value of life. It's not, it's my body. It's me. It's like, no, it's not. It's not.
But even in
You
things,
have another body within your body.
but I mean, even in
Like
things smaller
Simeon
than
in
that,
the midst
Yeah.
of Judah.
like that's one a lot of Christians can pretty easily go, okay, yes, but I don't do that. But there's plenty of like being dishonest, being
Everybody cheats on their income
right.
tax.
Yeah.
Until the feds show up.
Does it count as cheating,
Right.
making somebody else do it? 'Cause that's not cheating.
Yeah, somebody else doing it.
Let's see here. Did I just do 17 through 23?
Yes, you did.
Okay. Somebody could read verses 24 through 31.
The fifth lot came out for the tribe of the people of Asher according to their clans. Their territory included Helkath, Heli, Beton, Esheph, Alamelech, Amad, and Mishal. On the west, it touches Carmel and Shihor Libnath. Then it turns eastward and goes towards Beth Dagon and touches Zebulun and the valley of Iphtanel, northward to Beth Emek and Nael. Then it continues on to the north to Kubal, Ebron, Rehob, Haman, Canaan, and as far as Sidon the Great. Then the boundary turns to Ramah, reaching to the fortified city of Tyre. Then the boundary turns to Horsah, and it ends at the sea, Mahalab, as Azid, Ummah, Ephah, and Rahab, 22 cities with their villages. This is the inheritance of the tribe of the people of Asher according to their clans, these cities with their villages.
So, again, this is just a list. Does anybody have anything about that?
Well, so that's like way up north. If you're getting to Tyre and Sidon, that's by the Mediterranean Sea.
Right.
So that's that whole coastline going north of Israel. And both Tyre and Sidon were huge fortified port cities. Oh,
Right.
they may not have been huge at the time, but
Mine actually says the fortified city of Tyre.
yeah.
And at the Mediterranean Sea.
So that is fortified.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tyre was the city that Alexander the Great had such a hard time with.
Right.
Basically, every city until he got to Tyre, south of Anatolia, basically like, all right, we give up Alexander.
Yeah.
Like, you're just
Yeah.
conquering everyone. Tyre decided to resist because the main fortified portion of the city is an island just off the coast.
Right.
Alexander
Get there?
built an isthmus to this island in order to invade it. And it
wow.
is now connected to the mainland and has been connected to the mainland ever since.
So it can be conquered.
So that Alexander, petty Alexander the Great was
Petty
so
Alexander.
just is like, nope, you're not an island anymore because I say so.
Yeah. Interesting guy, like he was I guess he was strong militarily. I don't know if I don't think he had much thought except to conquer that whole area.
Well, he was busy conquering.
He was
You have to
yeah.
think of anything else.
Right.
He was a pretty intelligent guy, honestly. Like he had a way of cutting through problems and finding the simplest solution.
Right.
It's like, it's an island, make it not an island.
And I will conquer that. Yeah.
I didn't bring boats, so make my horses go over that water.
Exactly. Right. Oh, that's funny. Let's see. I'm gonna see if somebody could read.
The allotment for Naphtali.
Yeah. Okay.
The sixth lot came out for Naphtali according to its clans. Their boundary went from Hephlem and the large tree and Zananim, passing Adami Nekeb and Jebnel to Lachum and ending at the Jordans. The boundary ran west through Asnoth Tabor and came out at Hukok. It touched Zebulun on the south, Asher on the west, and the Jordan on the east. The fortified towns were Ziddim, Zer, Hamath, Rakath, Zimmereth, Adamah, Ramah, Hazor, Kadesh, Edrei, and Hazor, Iron, Migdal El, Orem, Beth Anath, and Beth Shemesh. These were 19 towns and their villages. These towns and their villages were the inheritance of the tribe of Naphtali according to its clans.
Okay. So, does anybody have any idea of these lists? When we get to the inheritance for Joshua, I've got some text on that. But does anybody have anything they can say about this list of lands?
Naphtali shows up in the New Testament
Right.
with Galilee, and the Naphtali in darkness has seen a great light,
Right.
referring to the Christ.
Okay.
So the old gets showed up in the new.
In the new, right.
Yeah.
Right. It's interesting.
Naphtali. And that's pretty far north.
Yeah.
What good comes
Yeah.
out of Naphtali?
Yeah.
Or Galilee.
This is Chinnereth was mentioned previously in, I'm trying to remember if it was in our Hosea study or not, but that's kind of where the area of Capernaum was, where Jesus spent most of his ministry. So that's way up by the north, by the Sea of Galilee. I also find it interesting that there's apparently an oak so prominent
Yeah,
that
they
it
named
serves
a
as
tree.
that they named a tree, and
Yeah.
it's a boundary point for the area.
Area, right?
That's very relatable. Go to where the barn used to be.
Turn the tree, right?
Turn left to where that giant oak was 10 years ago.
10 years ago, exactly. That's funny. Oh, that's funny. So I'm gonna go ahead and read verses 40 through 50, 40 through. Did we do 40?
We did not do 40, so 40 to 48, I think.
48, yeah. The seventh lot came out for the tribe of the people of Dan, according to their clans. And the territory of its inheritance included Zorah, Eshtaol, Ir-Shemesh, Shalabin, Aijalon, Ithla, Elon, Timnah, Ekron, Elatpeh, Gibbethon, Baalath, Jehud, Beni-Berak, Gath-Rimmon, and Me-Jarkon, and Rakan with the territory over against Joppa. When the territory of the people of Dan was lost to them, the people of Dan went up and fought against Leshem, and after capturing it and striking it with the sword, they took possession of it and settled in it, calling Leshem Dan after the name of Dan their ancestor. This is the inheritance of the tribe of the people of Dan, according to their clans, these cities and their villages. So this is interesting because the territory was lost, and they went up and fought against them, and they actually captured and struck it with the sword and took possession of it. This is different from the other tribes that were and didn't want to deal with it, and it's interesting that they fought and got the land that they were supposed to get.
That might be referring to an event after this, though, because this is right up against the Philistine territory just
Right.
north of Gaza.
Okay.
And the Philistines caused a whole lot of problems in the period of the Judges. So that could also be referring to the
Okay.
Philistines came out and conquered Dan, and then they reconquered the territory.
Okay. Okay. It's interesting.
Yeah, because Joppa is about the only port city that Israel ever had.
Right. Right.
That like the only one north of there is Tyre and Sidon, but that's for most of their history they didn't control those regions.
Right.
Joppa is about the only other port until you get to the Nile.
No, right. It's 10 o'clock. I think we're gonna stop now. Next part of this chapter 19 is Joshua's inheritance, and I got some stuff to say about that, and then we'll probably go into chapter 20, maybe part of 21. So, thank you guys for enduring the list of names. Let's close with a prayer. Dear Father, thank you for bringing us here today, and thank you for getting us through these lists of names that are hard for us to pronounce, but that's so important that you gave the Israelites this land, and that as Christians, even though we don't follow your words, you bring us back, you help us in our lives, and you bring us to our eventual redemption. I ask and say these things in the name of your dear Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
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 Now, how do I get?
So there's a button, end stream, right there. And then you hit end. Give them just a minute, and then you're going to want to